Good morning, this is Eva. I'm going to be continuing on with talking about characters in the Bible who were either affected by mental health disorders or had dark spirits or demonic spirits influencing them or taking over their mind, which in some religions, definitely in world religions, there's the idea, well, this also happened here in America in the 50s, um, and way earlier. Actually, it's happened for a long time, that people weren't sure what mental illness was. It was so frightening. And so a lot of times they thought people were demonically possessed and that they needed like an exorcism, or that they most of the time they would just separate them from people in society. Like they would be put in sanatoriums, mental health long-term facilities, or they would be ostracized and made to live out in the wild or by themselves, separated from everybody else. So in the Bible, we know for sure some of the stories that it was definitely a dark spirit that took over their mind. Like with Saul, King Saul, when he has all those um, desires to kill King David with a spear, while he's playing for him, with the music, it is clearly said in scripture that it's a dark spirit was purposely put in him as like a punishment, because he was anointed and king, but yet he kept disobeying God, like on like big stuff, like 3 or 4 times. And then with Elijah, when he fled Jezebel and King Ahab, he also, from something Jezebel gave him, he was infected with a dark entity, and it confused his mind and put him in a sudden like his mind was mixed up. He was suicidal. He was crushed by the weight of just not being able to use his strength or experience as God's prophet, or even his relationship to God, which is what he finally does use in prayer to save himself. At one point he begs God to kill him, and God ends up having birds deliver and an angel deliver food and water, substance, and lets him sleep it off, and then the entity leaves him. But with Saul, it was like a period of time he had to have it. And then with Pharaoh, he didn't have spirits taking over him. It was because he had a hardened heart. He it's like a spirit, almost like of pride. So a Leviathan spirit, perhaps. There's several different spirits that have to do with pride, but the one that talks about being a spirit of pride the most is the Leviathan. So probably that's the one he had. But if he had any kind of spirit in him, but mostly it was that he had hardened his heart against the Israelites and against Moses and his brother Aaron to give up the people that they wanted all the slaves. And I think they had been enslaved for like 400 years. And he refused to give them up, and that's why the 10 plagues happened. And after the plagues started happening, then God also hardened his heart more, but he initially had done it himself. So what's a hardened heart? It just basically means like a stubborn, prideful, almost like a narcissistic spirit of control and refusing to see anybody else's perspective but your own, insisting against any evidence that you know best and that no one else's opinion or ideas or anything should be considered even God's. That, like, Pharaoh when it comes down to also is like Pharaoh basically thought he was a deity, because in Egypt they considered the Pharaoh was like the deities they worshipped. And when the plagues came, each plague was attributed to an Egyptian god. So the Judeo-Christian god was, he had frogs come because there was a false idol according to, Judeo-Christian traditions, but in Egyptian world they worshipped a goddess who, she had the head of a frog. Like a lot of Egyptian gods and goddesses have, they're kind of like minotaurs. They have half animal, half human bodies and faces or heads. And so when the plagues happened, there was the water turned red with blood. Then they had the frogs. Then they had I think they had the flies, yeah. Then the gnats. Then they had livestock. All their livestock got sick and died. So they not only lost all their crops because the locusts ate it all. Like anybody who was using the water for irrigation or, bathing or anything, fishing, that was all just unable to happen because of the water turning to blood. And then after the livestock all being, so they were like gonna be pushed into a famine because they weren't gonna have any food, because all their ways of like earning a living or providing for themselves were gone. So then there was boils, hail. Oh no, hail came first. Then they got like boils all over their bodies. And then the last one was the firstborn of each household would die. So, and then if you didn't have kids, like if you had a pet or something, whatever was the oldest, they would take the firstborn. And Pharaoh's son actually ended up dying. And so that's when he called the whole thing off. So Jezebel, that's where the spirit of Jezebel comes from. I mean, the name of that supposed to be the spirit of, like, I think it's like sexuality, or but in a like a lustful, like in a way where they're persuasive, kind of like a siren, like in the ocean, like leading people astray, not like a real sexuality like from a love union, but like a temptation, um, a lot of times adulterous, or um, really just like kind of like the snake in Eden, where the reason Eve ate the apple and disobeyed was because the serpent basically sort of um, turned all the words around about what God had said, and sort of helped her see sort of a twisted view of what God's power and their freedom to know things, or it's like the serpent twisted it all around and persuaded her negatively, like almost like promising her uh, a future that wasn't real, like promising her like a kingdom and a freedom that actually that's not what they got when they ate the apple. I mean, it didn't turn out to be the kind of knowledge that would help them. It ended up being the kind of knowledge that would destroy them, because they ended up getting banished, and many, many times, um, biblically, it's almost like the knowledge of evil, instead of it being like something that warns you so that you don't get in trouble. It's almost like there's so many instances in the Bible where dark knowledge persuades you to go off course, and then, you know, bad things happen to you, or you lose privileges, or, you know, like your life's ruined. It's always like there's the Jezebel, Leviathan, there's the spirit of, what's a snake spirit? Um, it's a, there's a spirit kind of like a python. Oh, I think it is the python spirit, where the spirit of python, where it, you can't breathe, like you feel like you're being crushed. Like there's different ones, and they're all based on like the 7 deadly sins. Like, let me pull it up. Like, in order to know if you are being possessed by an impure spirit, it says some of the things that would happen to you: just extreme restlessness, like if you went to any kind of holy place, you would become, the spirits in you would become so agitated that they'd make themselves known and start acting out. In fact, the Pope, I don't remember which one, but a recent Pope, there's footage of him helping someone with a demonic spirit. He's in a wheelchair, and like as he's doing the exorcism or whatever, you can see like his face contorting and twisting. Like it's very creepy, scary. If you're involved in the occult, obviously, or in false idol worship, I mean, some people believe astrology is even uh, something bad. And then impure spirits will, there's a monitoring spirit, which if you have that, that's not like one of the like really crazy ones. Monitoring spirit is just like what it says, like you would like obsessively stalk somebody, but not so much in like physically, you know, following them and stuff, but it's more like a monitoring spirit is just like checking in with them all the time, trying to just ascertain exactly what's going on with them. Like you want all these details. Like in modern times, it'd be like hacking someone's phone or, you know, stealing private data and just getting all this information. It's like a spirit of accumulating data, and then you're going to give it almost like a blackmail. Like you're going to give it to another party or something. It's like it's like a tattletale almost, but it's a really weird one. It's like quieter. It's not like real aggressive like some of these other ones, like Leviathan. It's like, I guess it's called the twisting spirit because it's like everything you say, if you're overtaken by this spirit, it'd be like lying and twisting information to your advantage, or just deluding people, conning people, tricking people, almost like a you could trick people out of money, you could trick people out of things they owned, or trick them. I think there's times where it's like tricking someone to um, get sexual access to them. Like there's all kinds of, where Jezebel's more just like almost like Salam. Am I saying her name right? Where she does that really sexy dance and then she gets the head of John the Baptist. It's like a spirit of sexual allure and magnetism, and like almost like a covetousness, or like a desire to possess, or it's like it overcomes your mind. And there's different spirits that, like, spirit of narcissism would be like, I mean, they didn't call it narcissism in the Bible, but it would be like pride, like it, because that's supposed to be like the worst sin. Well, besides, I guess pride and worshiping false idol, which is the other one that's like super bad. The false idol, it would be like, sorry, I haven't been making these videos, so I'm not as usually on it as I normally am, because I was sick for a long time. All right, so there's the story in the Bible of Legion, which is like a man. He's possessed by thousands of demonic spirits, and he ends up it's almost like he sounds like he's paranoid, schizophrenic, or like hallucinating, or he's attacking people. He's just out of his head. And so they end up, they're on this island. He gets pushed out of the town, or I don't know what you want to call it, community, and he flees to, like, on the edge of the ocean. There's like a cemetery, and it's got all these I don't know, not like mausoleums. It's almost like they're, I mean, because this is back in Jesus's time, they're like caves where the dead bodies are kept. And he sleeps there because he has all these unclean spirits. It's like he's comfortable with the dead more than he is with the living. And he's naked. It's kind of like King Nebuchadnezzar, who, like, when he was possessed by spirits, he ended up for 7 years, like, acting like an animal. He was struck down because of his pride and ego, and he wanted to just do whatever he wanted with his being king, and he ignored all the things that God asked him to do. And so in a dream he told the dream, I don't think it was David, maybe it was, he told the dream to a dream interpreter, and he was told that he would end up going crazy and acting like a beast and being on all fours and eating grass. And that's exactly what happened to him. Legion is like living with all these, entombed people. And he's constantly like taking stones and cutting himself, like self-mutilating and screaming, and just, he's just full of all these demonic spirits. And then Jesus asked him, like, what's your name? He says his name is Legion, because he has a legion of dark spirits possessing him, basically. And so, was it him who asked? Somehow it comes up, I don't remember if it's Legion who says it, because he's like so mentally ill. Or it's not Jesus's idea. There's all these pigs. I can't remember how many. It's like something crazy, like 2,000 pigs, something insane. 400 pigs. Maybe I got that wrong. 400? Okay. And they're all just like eating, and they're part of the livelihood of some of the people who live there on the island. And he ends up, he pulls the spirits out of this crazed man, this crazed naked man, and he puts them into the pigs, and the pigs all either throw themselves off the rocks into the ocean, or they just all run into it and basically drown themselves. They're all like, the spirits had to go somewhere. Oh, that's what it is. The spirits asked to enter the pigs because they want to keep living. They need a host. So maybe they thought that pigs would stay on the land, but they don't. They just all freak out. There's another instance in the Bible where there's a young boy. He has, I don't remember if he has epilepsy. He has fits, and then he has a demonic spirit in him, and Jesus gets it out of him. There's a few other incidences, but it depletes Jesus to do these things. Like, it's very like, it takes like all his, I wouldn't say strength, like his energy, I guess, to perform some of these acts. And in how I was going to relate it to literature, I was going to relate it to the story of Faust. Well, the two stories that I've read, or novels I've read, that have to do with people being possessed, they actually, they go further. They sell themselves to the devil for certain things. Like, they sign contracts I don't know if they're in blood or whatever, but they sign some sort of contract with Mephistopheles, is who Faust, that's what Faust calls the devil, or Satan, like the king of all the devils. Um, he calls for Mephistopheles to enter his study at night. It's kind of a lot like Jekyll and Hyde, because like Jekyll does all this weird stuff. Oh, not Jekyll, Hyde, the Hyde part of him, the dark part of him, does all these weird like experiments or stuff like when he's being his shadow self. It's kind of like that, where it's like he conjures Mephistopheles. He's not even really sure if he's gonna be able to conjure up the devil, but he does, and um, he wants, like, he has he wants to have power. He wants eternal life. He wants to not ever die. And like, I think there's also this whole thing where there's this young girl, Marguerite or something. I put it in my on my website, um, pictures or paintings of him and this young girl that he's crazy about, and he ends up getting to do whatever he wants, and having, you know, this power, um, and being the best in his field, and being able to be above all these other people. But, you know, the time runs out, and then he has to like be in hell for the rest of his life. And the other one is the Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. And in that one, there's this gorgeous, handsome man, and he has this fear of not being attractive anymore, or of aging. He's terrified of aging. And he makes a deal with the devil to keep his looks. So it's like every time he looks in the mirror, he can see. Is that how it is? Oh, it's not the mirror. Somebody paints his portrait, and as he doesn't age, the portrait, the painting of him, his face in that ages. And so he can see what he would have looked like if he aged. But he himself remains, you know, perfect, you know, as this, you know, attractive figure. But he doesn't, it's like him and flesh doesn't age, but the portrait does. And then like it sort of like messes with his mind. And those are the two I know in literature that have to do with signing over. I know I did read some other accounts, like there was this blues singer who he wanted to be the best in his industry, and it's crazy. It's like he signs his soul over to this devil that's walking in this sort of dark of night. But then it's like he gets taken. He's only like 27. Like he doesn't even get to be like the star of the music scene for very long before the devil comes in and takes his due. And then Faust, they find him in his study, and he's all like almost like a broken doll. Like his legs and arms and everything's twisted. His whole neck his head's been turned around. Like he's all broken. Like it's gross. But it's like that's when the devil comes and gets his due, or, you know, takes him. But honestly, like in mythology, the stories about Hades, like he's supposed to be like the leader of the underworld, the king of the underworld. But he falls in love with this beautiful girl named Persephone, and um, it's actually rather aggressive and violent. But he comes with his chariot um, above ground, and he like kidnaps her. There's like a famous sculpture of it in Italy where, I mean, it's really, I've seen it. It's in person. It's kind of scary. It's like he's grabbed her, and it's like she's got her arms up, and she's like trying to get out of his grip, and you know, he's too strong and she can't. But it's like she's like almost like reaching out to the heavens to save her. But Hades, he brings her to the underworld. Now her mother is Demeter, who is the goddess of like agriculture. So um, this is how the seasons form, actually, in mythology, in Greek mythology, is because Demeter, her mother, is so heartbroken and angry that this happened that she demands, she goes to like Zeus, or she goes to like whoever's the head at that time, and demands her daughter back. And they said um, that they will get her back. But what ends up happening is while she's waiting for her mother to come get her in hell, Hades suggests she eat a pomegranate or some fruit, and she eats this pomegranate, which is like this. I've seen these fruits. They're very blood red, and then they have like all these seeds in them, and she eats half of it, but it's like whatever she does, it's kind of interesting because it's kind of like the apple on the tree of knowledge kind of thing again. And what happens is then when Demeter tries to come have Hades bring her to him, because she ate that um, particular fruit, there's like some rule that if you eat this down in the underworld, then you're doomed to have to stay down there. So her mother Demeter, there's another giant fit up at Olympus, and basically gets them, only because she's just nagging them so much, to, well, I shouldn't say the word nag, that's a terrible term. Like, she will not stop till they give her some kind of answer that she can live with. And so they make a deal that with Hades where she'll have to stay underground in the underworld half the year, and then the other half of the year she can be with her mother above ground. And so before this deal happens, Demeter is so upset that she's crying, and she refuses to make the land so that it's producing the crops like it should, and it's not bountiful anymore. And so fall, is it fall? I think before they only had like spring and summer, but because of her deep pain of losing her daughter, she makes fall happen. And then when she's waiting for the deal to be made, she's so upset she creates winter. So that's how the seasons are formed. But that's one explanation of, I guess, like the underworld, that's, or hell, that's actually, it's fairly banal. Like, banal is what I meant to say. And Hades does end up marrying her, and they don't have a terrible relationship. Like, Hades is just like not a very good Satan or whatever he's supposed to be. Like, he's pretty nice, honestly, for, I guess, who he is. But he's not like mistreat her, though. Like, the way he kidnapped her was like violent and terrible, and she of course did not want to go down there. And I think I'll probably end here. I just want to, I just need to streamline this. I'll get more into the other spirits. The main thing is pride is like anything prideful. Like that was what Saul refused to accept, that David would take over the kingdom after him, even though like God still let him be king, and he was gonna let him like keep being king till the end of his reign. He like is so obsessed with David and obsessed with being usurped that he's mentally ill, and he gets completely paranoid, and he almost gets this like paranoid personality disorder where he's completely unreasonable. But it has to do, he becomes really jealous, bitter, envious, full of hate, and he's just consumed. Like he can't even like have a regular life. He's so consumed by this. But it started out as like pride, is like he thought he knew better than God's directions. And so that's how that happened. And so pride is really like considered, because that's why Lucifer fell. And he took 1/3 of the angels with him. He fell over wanting to be number one. He wanted to be above. And then even when like Jesus spends like 40 days and 40 nights, and he barely eats hardly any. They say he like eats some stuff that's in the desert, but it's like, what on earth is he eating in the desert? But then Satan comes to tempt him 3 times or 4 times. He tempts him, but of course Jesus denies it. But during that, it's also another sort of incident in the Bible where it's almost like Satan's, well, he's Lucifer when he's an angel in heaven. He's like the most beautiful, the greatest creation God ever made. He's supposed to have the most gorgeous voice. And he was full of jewels. Like his whole body was adorned in like diamonds or something. I don't know. Like all these jewels. And when he leaves heaven, is cast into the earth, like he well, the earth's core, he then becomes Satan. He loses the title of Lucifer. And that's why there's a difference in the naming. But it's the same thing. It's like he wants to be before God. And so the Egyptian idols were, Pharaoh was saying they were, before the Judeo-Christian God. And then like basically you can go through each one, and it's all about deciding, or these people decide that they want to be the supreme being. They want to be in control of everybody. They want to have power over the people and be above them and be able to sort of manipulate and control what they do. And they want like the jurisdiction and power to be worshipped. And it's like ego driven. Like they want to be everybody in whatever, whatever they're about. They want to be the only one who's looked up to. So, and that goes over and over again. And I'll go through more stories at another time. I'm already at time. All right. Bye.